All right, let's start up. Let's talk a bit about the state of content creation and the ripple effects that potentially will occur because of this whole Mr. Beast situation. To be honest, I'll be very frank. I could not care less about Mr. Beast personally. I never really been a fan of the guy in the sense of like die-hard fan, but at the same time, he's a hard guy to not know about. If you're in the world of creators and care about what's happening online on the internet, you tend to pay attention to what's going on with this guy. So as of late, I've seen a lot of backlash happening both to his brand that he's built and what's been going on with him. I guess you could say in relation to other people that are surrounding him, and I kind of had some takes. So first of all, my whole thing with Mr. B specifically and what he does to the world of content creation, I'm undeniably he's cheapened it. Like I genuinely feel like he's honestly been a net negative in the world of creation because yeah, a lot of what he does is gimmicky and encourages people to do things for the sake of clicks and views. And here's the thing, my hot take is that it's very much possible to actually hook people and find something cool for them to take a look at if and only if you have like a certain flair about it, or you have like a certain ability to manifest, for lack of a better term, creativity, like cheap bait for cheap bait's sakes. I don't know. I feel like that's kind of what Mr. Beast has always done. And it worked for him for a while. Like he's the biggest number YouTuber for a reason. But now, basically because it's the downfall of Mr. Beast, who knows what's going to happen to him and his career and the rest of the YouTuber ecosystem. Maybe it's going to finally be the time to give way to, no, focus, to give way to like creators who actually put in, I'd argue, the effort. Because again, like, if you start to compare what Mr. Beast does in terms of content creation, he's more akin to reality TV, in my humble opinion. And that's not an insult to what he does. That's just how I feel about it personally. Because for all I am aware of the Kim Kardashians and all the stuff that they do, I couldn't lie to you. I don't really care. I've never watched any Kim K reality TV episodes, and it's never gonna happen. I kind of feel the same way with Mr. Beast. But controversy-wise, at the end of the day, clicks sell, right? And we've seen that with Kanye. We've seen that with other creators who basically have built a career off of controversy. Most notoriously, Logan Paul comes to mind. And I'll be very frank, like, the most I know right now in terms of what's happening to Mr. Beast and people digging up his past is that he used to be an edgelord back in the day, which makes sense, the white kid from, North Carolina, back in the early 2010s. You're bound to have said some edgy stuff, but my take on this whole situation personally is that does he deserve it? I don't know. Like, time will tell. If he comes out to be some slimy figure who's been scheming this whole time to exploit people, then honestly, he's had it coming. Because it can only be sneaky and slimy for so long. And for the sake of comparison, I'll go with Marquez Brownlee, for example, aka MKBHD, which in a way himself he's been in quite a bit of controversy. Like, from what I understand, he's got cancelled by these companies who essentially didn't like that he did reviews of their tools and give them a bad rep. I think that's the kind of integrity that it's. If we were to analyze these creators at the top of their game, it's like the polar opposite. On one hand, we have Mr. Beast over here, was willing to just do anything and everything for clicks and for views. in for a paycheck versus Marquez, who is selective. He tries to really go after a particular goal or angle. And I think it's kind of lost nowadays. That kind of vision, it's kind of lost in YouTube nowadays. And mind you, this is coming from someone who's been enjoying the platform and watching the platform for well over a decade now. You know what I'm saying? But actively producing on the platform, it's been slightly less longer for me personally. I'm enjoying my time there so far. I think I've seen some interesting stuff. And the little I've posted so far lets me know that, okay, I can carve a path for myself here. I kind of dig that. Mr. Beast, I think, at the end of the day, is someone who is a stand-in for a bigger problem in the world of content creation, because, I don't know, man, this idea of like constantly gimmicking and hijacking people's attention for views, I don't know how sustainable that is in the long term. And mind you, this is coming from someone who, again, is very aware of like the dangers that come with these platforms and how they basically prime you to be a consumer and nothing else. So, who knows? One thing I do want to say, though, in terms of the problem with the content creator landscape as of currently, in terms of the beastification of everything else that we watch nowadays, everyone is a copycat. Everyone is trying to do the giveaways. Everyone is trying to do the whole big, ambitious video. And I'm not so sure it's necessary, to be honest, because everyone can exist in their own niche, in their own world, and be fine, I'd argue. You just gotta have a good way of going about it. But from creator to creator, let's have an honest look at ourselves here. Like, if you're someone who you enjoy creating, be it by yourself or with other people, what are you gonna do to actually make a difference and an impact? That's really what's important for me at the end of the day. Because I really do think that a lot of people who look at the creative world right now, they only see the cloud of it or the revenue potential of it, which is fair and fine. At the end of the day, doing this world of creators, it is a pretty serious game. But now, are you gonna be the one that's going to be a predator? Are you gonna prey upon people's reactions, switchy clicks, and dopamine? Or are you actually intending on saying something? And that's why the likes of, FD Signifier and so many other video essay types I respect so much, because it shows that there's room for substance, there's room for nuance, and there's room, more importantly, for well-crafted, well-documented works. I don't even consider them to be content. I consider them to be like works, like artwork, or in some case like craft work. Another creator that comes to mind, speaking of, good creation and masterclass of work, is it's this guy that does travel videos and he documents them with his GoPro, I think. I'm gonna put his name like in the tag later, but essentially what he does, he travels around and asks people questions about what he likes about the place or what he doesn't like, and kind of like a historical background. He's been to the Appalachia, and he's been to like dangerous parts of town. He's been in the deep south and stuff like that. So who knows? I do think that we're currently in a weird transition now, because Mr. Beast is only one small part of the problem. We have bots taking over farming. We have a bunch of people essentially trying to pull stunts and trying to claim a spot that don't really belong to them. And I feel like overall, people have been a whole lot less critical of what they watch. They'll just watch anything. And to be honest, I don't know if this is a good thing. So at the end of the day, as a creator, and this actually goes to Mr. B specifically, I make a personal commitment to not do what he does, to not do the whole ambitious big numbers thing. I mean, sure, I have a vision, and if a budget can help that, by all means. But, I feel like being committed to something that actually gets you somewhere vision wise. That's what's most important for me. I don't care much about reaching tens of millions of people, like if I do, cool, like I welcome it, but I'm not gonna actively gamify my stuff. I'm gonna make sure I'm easily discovered. I'm gonna make sure that career wise I'm around the right people and I talk about the right topics, but for the most part I'll stay authentic to the kind of vision I'm going for, because it's really important for me to see this whole thing through. So again, am I rejoicing for the downfall of Mr. Beast? Probably not. But am I rejoicing because it's ushering in a new era for YouTube? Absolutely. Because, yeah, man, as someone who's been watching the platform for so long, seeing how the criticism around him has been ever so louder as of late, I didn't pay too much attention then, but paying attention now, it's pretty obvious to me that people have a problem with what he represents for the culture of YouTube and the culture of consumption and overall sleaziness that comes with making the kind of videos that he makes, regardless if he gives money away or not. I feel like it's a cheap cover when you really break it down and think about it. Personally, if I want to make an impact for these communities, like, here's one simple way I would go about it. For starters, I would actually get to know people, you know what I mean? Like, community-wise, get to know them where they're at, where they live, their struggles, and really put them at the forefront, to be honest. Let them speak for themselves in terms of, like, what they need and what can be helpful for them. I don't know, I feel like that makes a difference. And if you go watch my previous works, on this channel, you'll see that I'm basically putting together a mosaic of people's thoughts and opinions about how the world is going and how they're impacted by things. So that's how I feel. Beyond that, yeah, man, Mr. Beast, do better. Let that be a cautionary tale to choose wisely who you hang around and who you allow to associate with you, especially when you have a high visibility, because the internet loves to cancel people for better or worse, justified or not. But I do think that in terms of actually seeing through a vision and being protective of that vision, it's important to keep in mind that at the end of the day, the way you have a platform matters and the way you use that platform matters. So, I don't know, man. Like, Mr. Beast, sorry this whole thing is going down. It's happening to you. It must suck being under all this critical eye. But I think in your shoes, personally, I would actually come out pretty openly and say, okay, like, here's what's really going down and here's how I can do better moving forward. Because, I don't know, wouldn't that be in the spirit of YouTube at the end of the day, to actually have a conversation with the people who got you to where you're at and actually being honest about what you do with your channel, especially in the light of people basically doing 1-hour exposés about you? I don't know. I feel like it would give you some legitimacy, for lack of a better term. Food for thought. So on that note, this is Wispill. Check out the podcast that I got going on Substack. Check out the Instagram page I run, and check me out also on the Medium page I curate, because I do write quite often, actually. You'll be surprised. So for those of you who are readers who enjoy reading, definitely check that out, because I post some thoughts, analysis of things I think is interesting every so often on there. And lastly, if you're a creator, reach out. Let me know how you feel about what's currently going on in the world of YouTube and cancellations and people having old skeletons being dug up, and do you feel ready or not for this life? Because I sure as fuck don't feel ready, I'll be honest with you. I don't like this idea of selling your image, but, there's a trade-off for everything. Ain't that right, so? So, up. Push it. Yeah. You're doing a good job, bud. You're doing a good job. I'll be back.